tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Gun? Yeah, gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack booty cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday. We are live. This is PrimerTime on UCY.tv. My name is Michael, and I am just discussing the entire system.
Well, I'm Nicholas, and it's not that bad from my perspective.
I don't know, man. Things are truly falling apart in the way of life for the American Citizen Department.
Yeah, but on the upside, things are looking better for the illegal immigrant and or Syrian refugee side of the house.
Well, and it's also quite rosy an outlook for the supplier of military armaments and large expensive. I saw that the Army just approved the Carl Gustav rocket for like general distribution or something. It's not
It's not just for the Rangers anymore.
Yeah, it's not just a special item anymore. And now all the kids get to play with it. How much do those things go for a piece? They're like $90,000 a piece, aren't they?
I couldn't even begin to tell you because I've never got to play with them.
Okay, well, you're somewhat familiar with them, right? I would dare say you're probably more familiar with them than I am.
Yeah, I just...
Do you care to give a description of it real quick?
So what this is it's a shoulder-fired... you could say it's a crew-served weapon because it does take a gunner and a loader to operate. It's called the M3 Carl Gustav rifle. Basically, what this is for lack of a better term, it's a recoilless rifle in the sense that this was developed by a company called Bofors, which has been purchased by Saab. It's basically a lightweight, man-portable recoilless rifle. That's the best way to describe it. It was actually one of the favorite.
Is it a single use or is it a reloadable item?
I'm not really familiar with it all that much. I just know what it is. I don't. It could be likened to a bazooka, for lack of a better term.
Right. Except for this is kind of a disposable item, I believe, and they cost $90,000. Now, without going into your wealthy status, we can just generally say that you've been in the military for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, yes. Most people would be retired by now, for as long as I've been in.
If you've been into the military, you'd be old enough to drink by now. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, indeed.
All right. So, in that entire time, have you made $90,000 on your paycheck?
Like cumulatively?
No. I mean, like 1 year you make 90 grand.
Yeah, not even
1
close.
year.
No.
So, there's a problem with a bazooka, a single-use item that costs 90 grand, and the guy who's going to shoot it does not make 90 grand.
Well, that just ensures that you're going to have a steady supply of them when the guy who doesn't make the 90 grand decides to break it.
Oh, then we got to buy like 10 more.
Exactly. So, there's an upside. But yeah, this is not like it's not like it's brand new technology. I mean, this thing has been used by our special operations guys. The U.S. Army Rangers have been using this for forever. It's an 84 millimeter recoilless rocket.
This is going into general distribution into the Army. This is
so
going
basically
down
what
to
this means is that if it's been accepted into the Army's modified table of organizational equipment, they'll determine that a certain number of them will go to each infantry battalion, or at the lowest level, an infantry weapons company, which used to be Delta companies in the old standard format. You'd have 3 line companies, and then you have a heavy weapons company called Delta Company for each one of the infantry battalions. And that Delta Company would get the heavy machine guns, like the 50 caliber machine guns, and then the AT-4s and the recoilless rockets, or rifles, I should say, and those kind of heavy pieces of equipment.
Does the Army use the old recoilless rifles anymore? I know a lot of those went out to like
that's long since passed out of our inventory.
Completely obsolete.
It's not that it's completely obsolete, because you see that every type of warlord in the Middle East and or Africa puts them on top of vehicles, usually the Toyota Hiluxes, and turns them into what we call technicals.
Right, and now those Toyota Hiluxes have been replaced by Great Wall pickup trucks.
Yeah, the Great Wall Steed.
Yeah, that's right, Great Wall Steeds. So that's kind of an interesting shift in the way the world works, because I mean we're kind of within the same age range. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we're brothers, right? Yeah. So we both remember seeing like the images of revolution in Africa and revolution in the Middle East, and yeah, the technical was a great big part of it, and then it came booming into like everyday life with like the release of the movie Black Hawk Down. That's when it kind of almost became an everyday term.
Yeah,
but we were aware of these things before, but it was always a Toyota back then. It was never a Chevy pickup. It was never a Jeep pickup. It wasn't even a Jeep.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that just kind of, I don't know if it's a testament to Toyota's rugged reliability, or a testament to the fact that they do business with nefarious folks around the world.
I mean, it wasn't too long ago that the headline on every newspaper and every website that you went to was that great big I would call it a convoy. I mean, it must have been, at least 65 in the picture long of brand new Toyota trucks being driven by ISIS. And, we don't know where that came from. Well, I'll tell you what, Toyota knows who they sold 250 pickup trucks.
Yeah. Did we lose you there?
So, hey, no, I'm right here with you. No, I just find it funny that ISIS is kind of going old school and using the pickup trucks from Toyota, and kind of the revolutionaries they don't talk about are using the Chinese pickup trucks.
Yeah, well, it also helps when the Chinese are there to fly them too. So,
what do you think about that rumor about the Chinese making I think it was corned beef out of human flesh?
Well, they've got quite a few people. Have you ever seen the movie Soylent Green?
I have.
So obviously this is not a new idea.
No, I don't know. I saw something about that, and it hit a couple big places, and I guess the Chinese foreign minister came out very sternly and said they do not put humans into their corned beef. Needless to say, I am not Chinese corned beef out of a can.
Yeah. Well,
All right, so
that's the way it rolls, I guess.
Worldwide, we got tonight is another primary in Washington, and I think that closes. That'll close about an hour after we're off, I think. So interesting, and in that category, Mr. Donald Trump was endorsed by the National Rifle Association.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it's funny. Today I saw on the ticker that he actually has floated around a couple of names for a vice president pick. And I will tell you that the one of the names that came up is somebody that I have personally worked side by side with, and I will tell you, if he picks this guy as his VP, boy, I just became a Trump supporter.
Okay, well, who is it?
The name that I've seen floating around is retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. And General Flynn, who retired from the Army after clashing with some Obama administrative officials throughout, the various National Security Committee and other assorted sundry cabinet level posts. He got on some disagreements with them, and actually he's been very vocal against Hillary Clinton and her, just her inability to control the classified information that she was entrusted with. And he has said personally that as the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, if he would have done the same things that she did, he would have been let out of his own building in handcuffs. And that kind of goes to show you.
That's straight up honesty right there. I mean, both of us have said that.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, from what I know of him, he is a guy that is of the utmost moral character. I don't have great things to say about General Petraeus, who actually was both of our bosses as the commanding general of ISAF. At the time, General Flynn, Lieutenant General Flynn, was Major General Flynn, and he was the director of the Joint Intelligence Staff, or the Combined Joint Intelligence Staff. We call it CJ2. Smart guy. If Donald Trump lacked any kind of foreign policy credentials, and he chooses this guy, I would say that he's going to clean the clock with anybody else out there. So,
I kind of said this maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I've said that Trump really needs to pick a military veteran, and in my book, preferably a Hispanic military veteran, to really, I don't know, I guess kind of nail it down and take the popular support. Now, that being said, I have no faith in the vote still, and I still honestly, I think Hillary is the one. I don't care. Hillary could eat a live baby on TV and pull the mythical Negro hot sauce out of her purse, toss the baby in it, and Diebold machines would still collect like a 3% victory for her. I do not trust it.
But only by a coin toss.
And she'll win 6 coin tosses in a row. She will draw the high card 9 times out of 10, and it will go to the Supreme Court, and it will just happen just like Bush. I think that faction, I think the Bush and Clinton family are really connected when it comes to dirty stuff. When it's money laundering, it's drug running, it's selling guns. To people who, in contravention of their own words. The guns being sold to the Mexican gangs, to the Saudi Arabians. I saw a report earlier that Cracker had showed to me, but the United States sells the most weapons to Saudi Arabia of any other country in the world, and you can bet that a good deal of those dealings were facilitated by Bush and by Clinton, and the various Bushes and by the various Clintons, and that's not necessarily in the United States' best interest, and they're not acting in a way that I would say represents the moral fiber of the American people. And I'm not talking family values or anything like that. I'm just saying that, when was the last time we beheaded anybody in the United States for any kind of crime?
Beheaded? Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I see with the political thing, I see it's getting worse. The California Gunmageddon bill appears to be moving to committee, and we discussed that a while back. And there's just a wide list of restrictions that are about to pop in. And
it's not a great time to be a legal gun owner in the state of California. And when I see legal, I mean like old enough and not having a background that precludes you from owning a weapon, because there's a long laundry list of guns in California that are illegal to own. So,
well, not only the list of California approved weapons, but these new proposals coming through, some of them are pretty draconian. I mean, they want to compile a list of basically an ammunition database.
Yeah, and this goes along with the proposals from guys like Kevin De Leon and everybody else. They want to have basically digital micro stamping of ammunition that goes right to your weapon. They want you to do fingerprints on ammo purchases, have every transaction videotape, whether it's San Francisco or LA. I mean, these are differences between the Assembly bills and the Senate bills, but for the most part, you have eight. Yeah, you have 8 bills going forward to committee, and 7 of them come from the Senate, and 1 of them comes from the Assembly. So, it's a rough time to be a gun owner in California. I mean, I've worked with a guy at a point in time when I was in California, right about 2001. We had just suffered terrorist attacks, and basically we had a guy who wanted to register his Franke SPAS 15 shotgun, and he took it to a law enforcement agency and trying to do the right thing, and they said, "Thanks for bringing it in." And that's the last he ever saw of it.
Took it from him. Yeah, the SPAS shotguns are banned by name in California.
They sure are.
And really, it's kind of based on the SPAS 12 being a scary shotgun, and it's used in every movie in the world. It's the one that's got kind of a hook buttstock that will flip up to the top, and its special operating feature is that it's either a pump action or it's a gas operated. It's a semi-automatic. You can switch between the two. It's kind of a clumsy shotgun. It was kind of heavy. It was really not the end-all, be-all of anything other than it looked different than everything else at the time, and that shotgun got banned because it was ugly.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing is that on first glance, you look at it, it looks like an oversized AR-15. And that's...
Oh, you're not talking about the SPAS 12.
I'm talking about the 15.
Okay, yeah.
And this
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were talking about the SPAS 12.
Well, that's also banned in California.
Exactly. But when you look at the SPAS 15, it looks on the outward edge. It's got the same general silhouette as what an AR would have, except for the fact that it's a shotgun, so holding 15 rounds. It's one of those things that when people make decisions to ban something on looks, that's what you get.
Right, and they're actually in this collection of bills. One of the items they want to do away with the bullet button. We kind of discussed this last week, but I'd like to touch on it again because this is kind of actually one of the more biting provisions in this. I mean, none of them are nice, but this is one of the ones that's the most vile in my opinion. Is the bullet button is a device that is required by law in California now, and what it is it makes you use a tool of some sort, a key, or a lot of people use a bullet, the point of a bullet, hence the name the bullet button, and you have to depress a lever or depress a button somehow, and that unlocks the magazine, and then you can use the magazine release and remove your magazine to change them out. And California, you're limited to 10-round magazines. Well, this provision makes that illegal. One of their, I don't know how you would say that, Nick, but it's a concession to a previous law is now going to be an illegal feature, and every magazine will have to be pinned, and I don't know how that would work with an AR-15.
Well, see, here's the thing. You would end up having to do something to the effect of manufacturing a device that would take a 10 round, or because obviously they're only going to let you have 10 rounds, but they would only let you have a 10 round magazine. And actually, when you consider it, they would have to end up just developing something for a 9 round magazine, because you could have your live round in the chamber, and then you would need to have only space for 9 additional rounds at any one time to give you the total of 10. They would have to make a device that accepts basically a clip which would have the 9 rounds on it to be loaded into the fixed magazine.
So like an end block clip, like a Garand clip.
Yeah,
like
on a Garand clip, which, oddly enough, I'm surprised that they didn't go for, making you not have a 7 round band, therefore making the M1 Garand illegal to own in California.
That would actually require somebody who had some sort of knowledge about what they're discussing. And that's, we can always go back to the Carolyn McCarthy clip of the shoulder thing that goes up.
Yeah.
But like we have Kevin De Leon, who, the ghost gun that fires, 30 clip-azines a second.
Yeah.
And what was it? It was 30 round clips a second is what
30 round magazine clips.
30 round magazine clips a second from the ghost gun that has no numbers on it. So, oh my God. It's because it has no numbers on it. It's twice as deadly, and it will go through double the amount of school children.
This is akin to the argument that Glocks were more deadly because they couldn't be identified going through an airport scanning machine, right?
Well, dude, the Glock 7, dude, that thing is made out of ceramic, dude, and it costs twice what you make in a month, man.
Yeah. Oh well. Like I said, if you're a gun owner and you're in California and you stick around for anything other than the weather and the surf, you might be time to consider leaving.
Well, and California is not the only golden spot in this wonderful nation that's full of hope and vigor at this point. Let's go a little bit further west across the pond, and let's go to Hawaii. What the hell is going on?
Oh my goodness, yes. Yeah, so that's one of the things we've actually discussed.
Let's preface this that Hawaii is not a gun owner's paradise by any means already.
Right, and not only that, we've discussed it previously on the show that in order to purchase a firearm in Hawaii, you're going to have to make at least in Honolulu, you're going to have to make a couple trips downtown to the police department off of Queen Street, which is not the easiest place to get to in Honolulu. And you're going to have to visit there, get a police check, background check, then go to the store where you want and intend to purchase it, present them with your background check, make the purchase, take the serial number that comes from that rifle, take it back to the police department so that they can enter it into a database, and then within whatever waiting period they have, you have to go back and do another police check to make sure that you haven't committed any crimes before you're able to take that most recent check back to the store in order to pick up your weapon. So in addition to that,
sounds like they are not infringing on you.
Well, exactly. So basically what they're talking about now is to automatically have people entered into the wrap-back database, which they're going to use the argument people in positions of trust already have to do. And what it is basically making you in a national database that's going to follow you across all 50 states. So yeah, and some arguments being given by some, gun-friendly lawyers are saying, this basically is tantamount to saying you're going to have to prove your innocence in order to have a legal right to own a firearm every time you intend to do a purchase in the state of Hawaii. In addition to, oh, by the way, all the other archaic rules that the state has in order for you to be able to get the firearm in the first place. Now you're going to have your personal information in a database that goes beyond the scope of what is currently out there.
Well, there's the slippery slope argument, and then there's the going right off the goddamn cliff. And
in Hawaii, there's plenty of cliffs, so it's not like you don't have plenty of choices.
That one's pretty close right there. And It's not just limited to islands and California. Once again, our favorite senator, Chuck Schumer. Uh, my my hat's off to him. My yarmulke comes off to Senator Chuck Schumer. He puts up another one. He's let me see if I can get this one pop on open. He's got another bill coming up, and it's dealing with internet sales and sales at the gun shows. To eliminate the dreaded gun show loophole.
Oh,
and
yes.
yeah, so this is he got 1,000 calls on Monday morning from after a speech at the Brady campaign criticizing the lack of a current gun bill in Congress. So as the author of the original Brady law, Senator Schumer, of course, agrees there should be universal background checks. To avoid any misunderstanding, he will introduce his universal background check bill today. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fresh off of his attempted ban at or regulation of powdered alcohol products, he's gone back to the well of introducing gun control legislation. So, hey, I expect nothing. I expect nothing less from him.
I mean, honestly, we need somebody to watch over us like this. And I mean, aside from the fact that, if we start looking at common denominators and the gun control thing, we're going to start getting into a situation in a conversation that's probably not kosher right now. But just the unmitigated gall. Yeah. And honestly, I really think that the whole idea behind the urge to push for that is they are afraid of average American waking up. And we can just look back at the Nevada Democratic caucus thing that just happened last week. And there was pretty much a goddamn near riot there. And it was interesting that California Senator Barbara Boxer was a speaker at this. And there was a good bit of unrest in the crowd. And Barbara Boxer, I bring her up because she's one of the non-friendly tribe members. That's
I was going to say Barbara Boxer doesn't need trouble; she brews it.
Right, and she's one who's constantly, trying to push the gun lies. And she started pushing a different kind of lie.
That would be Senator Michael. She's worked hard.
That's right. That's right. How dare I infringe and take away her safe space? No, I do remember that. She that was a general that she got on.
That was
crazy.
Yeah. If you haven't had the chance to witness that, the Barbara Boxer dressing down a member of our United States officer corps from the Army, I believe, she lit him up one side and down the other by referring to her as ma'am, which is a sign of respect and deference in itself. But the fact that she came back at him and she said, I've worked very hard to get where I'm at, and I would appreciate you calling me Senator. I was like,
yeah, it wasn't like
says the woman who is saying this to a general who I'm pretty sure worked pretty damn hard to get where he's at.
Yeah, aren't generals just appointed because, their dad said that make my son a general?
See, if that was the case, John McCain Jr. would have been a general, but he was not.
He would have been an admiral.
Been an admiral if he wasn't,
No, he's just a genital as he is now.
Yeah, so there you go. But yeah, that's one of those things. Barbara Boxer is no friend, just as Chuck Schumer is not. And one of his most recently sponsored bills was Senate Bill 2934, the Fixed Gun Checks Act of 2016, introduced on May 16th and referred to committee the same day. And the bill title says, a bill to ensure that all individuals who should be prohibited from buying a firearm are listed in the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. And that's the NCIC. and require a background check for every firearm sale. That kind of goes into trying to close down that gun show loophole.
Well, and it's really the gun show loophole that doesn't exist. But the overall goal is to remove the firearms from as many people's hands as they can. And we've got another story here. The FBI, who administers the NCIC, the National Criminal Instant Check System, is now flagging people who have misdemeanors on their record.
Yeah, that's no good.
Okay, so this comes out of the DC clothesline, and it says this guy entered a big name sporting goods retailer to purchase a firearm. He filled out the paperwork, and the staff came back and said that he had been delayed. And he then called in and said that they can delay the transaction for 3 days. And he has not heard back yet. So this is interesting.
Yeah, so basically what this is saying is that this is introducing an unnecessary 72-hour waiting period.
Well, and not only that, but this is another arbitrary move on the FBI's part. On that's basically all it is. And I mean, I'll tell you, I've got a friend who has run a gun shop, and I'll tell you, I know for a fact that the ATF is hot on all firearm sales right now. There's kind of a push nationwide, and they are checking records. They are taking records from FFL holders right now. They're going over everything with a fine-tooth comb, and remember, those records have to be kept for 20 years. And I guess the only upside to the FFL holder is that once you relinquish those records to the FBI, you are no longer liable for them. They are now property of the FBI, so you are free to go. But yeah, there's been rumors of more and more shops being temporarily closed due to ATF reviews. So we're going to keep an eyeball on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things that it's interesting to see the scope and the focus of the agency change as the political winds shift and, an administration comes or goes, because when you think about it, the ATF and by extension the FBI and the Department of Justice are supposed to be independent cabinet positions within the administration to administer justice and prosecute justice in the interest of the United States government. What it has turned into is basically a enforcement branch of the executive branch. I mean, that's what it is.
And really what the problem is it shouldn't be an enforcement branch of the United States government or prosecuting on behalf of the government. It should be prosecuting on behalf of the people.
Well, the people are the government.
Yeah, we keep believing that one. Yeah, that's what they told us.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Power to the people, yo.
Yo.
And,
so
I had a quick one and wanted to see what your thought on this was. You remember that nice little situation we had back in Baltimore over last year, where the entire city seemed to be burning out of control.
Yeah, what did they call that? It was a temporary outpouring of emotion, I believe.
Yeah.
It was
a safe space for rioters to express themselves.
Right.
So
regulated rage.
Yeah. So right now there has been a second not guilty verdict issued in the trial of the police officers who are accused of the murder or wrongful death of Freddie Gray. So
there was a not guilty verdict yesterday as well.
That's what I'm referring to. So this is the second one, and now the state's attorney for Baltimore is really being called into question, especially with the fact that she made her way onto the national news circuits following her very hasty decision to press charges. and go for convictions against these officers. Basically, the judge came back in a decision saying that the state had failed to prove their case that the officer was responsible for the death of the individual. And, Marilyn Mosby, let's not forget her name. She had no problem saying that, hey, we stand with you, the people who are most at risk. We're here to make sure that you get your justice. And she's over too. So, it might be a hot summer in Baltimore when all four of these guys get acquitted. Because actually,
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's a total of 6 officers, and I think it's
this kind of
and a woman. So
this kind of points to a greater problem we've got. We've got a serious problem with our media pushing things out and our politicians jumping on every chance they can to exploit any sort of tragedy. And it was kind of interesting. A little while ago, I happened to catch a little bit of a pro-Trump rally that Trump wasn't at, but one of the more visible Trump supporters was speaking at. And it was pretty much shut down by Black Lives Matter. And from what I saw, it looked like it was going to turn into a fucking riot. And, I see that. I listen to CNN, and I do not watch CNN. I listen to it. There's a great, huge difference in the two. The spin from CNN is constant and nonstop. It is purely the propaganda channel of the administration, of the powers that be, whoever is running this place. That's who's running CNN and putting out the message there. And they like to exploit tragedies, and then you have some big mouth jackasses out there who take it on themselves to make their own tragedies. And I want to kind of bring up something that's come on and really sparked a lot of debate in this nation about a lot of things, and a lot of things firearm related. But Zimmerman's gun sold.
Yeah, it did, and that was one of those that quite a few people were
this weekend. The KelTec PF9 that he used to shoot Trayvon. Say it again.
Yeah, I was going to
say it again, please.
This is one of those that a lot of folks had. Whether they tried to usurp the auction when it went on Gunbroker, and then he listed it on another forum. The buyer paid it $250,000, and it's been shipped. It's a done deal, and I'm guessing that he shipped it to a licensed, federal firearms license holder, being that it's a handgun and wanting to transfer it in different states and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's one of those transactions right there that I would dare say that the ATF had an eyeball on that one, and that one had to be done perfectly. All the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and done in black or blue ink, not in pencil or anything like that. Yeah, right. that transaction went, and I'm sure that the buyer is squeaky clean, has no other issues, and yeah, there's nothing. And that's now a collector's piece. And now let's kind of discuss the KelTec PF9 for a minute. It's a subcompact single stack 9mm. It is striker fired. It's polymer framed. I believe it holds 7 rounds in the magazine, plus 1 in the chamber, giving it a total of 8. It's not excessively well built. It's you could almost call it a disposable handgun, and that would actually be kind of rude to KelTec. But it's not meant for longevity. It's you get what you pay for. It's sub $300 worth of compact 9mm, and all the issues that would come associated with that. The shitty trigger, the intense recoil, the lack of accuracy that comes with I dare probably say it's probably a 12, 13 pound trigger on that thing.
The interesting thing is that for $300, if you can find one, at that price.
No, KelTec PF9. I'll tell you what, if you're really like out in the market for a KelTec PF9, you can find one used in decent condition for about 250 to 225, maybe sometimes $200. And I would say 250 at a shop. You can probably buy a brand new one for walk out the door, and you'll have enough to buy yourself a Big Mac, maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, it's not like it is a personal defense weapon.
It's not target
it's not something
weapon.
that you're going to use in a 3-gun competition.
I don't have anything to back this up other than things that I've read on several internet forums, but the KelTec's allegedly jammed when it was after it was used. So it fired the first round, and then it did not chamber the second round. There was an issue. So, for Zimmerman's sake, it's good. He was a good shot, and that one round put him down.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to be a good shot when you're about to get your head smashed into the back of the pavement, and the guy's right on top of you. So
that's probably one of the times that it's harder to be a good shot, but I guess it's one of the times that you need to be.
Yeah, I was going to say you kind of need to be able to hit your mark. So yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, there was
how many pistols you get for $250,000? I mean, if you buy three of them for $1,000, he sold that pistol for 750 times its price.
I would say that he would become friends with P.T. Barnum in an instant.
That's yeah, and then to go along with that, I don't know. I personally, I don't think. I got mixed feelings on Zimmerman. I think he probably did what he had to do when it happened. I think since the incident, he's kind of been a jackass, and he should have melted away. He should have just kind of like Bernie Getz, and just once he got out of prison, he just kind of was gone.
Well, not only that, there's a difference there. Bernie Getz was in prison. You got no prison time for this young man.
But I still think he's kind of almost ridden a wave of fame that's probably not necessarily warranted.
But whether warranted or not, people are going to take their 15 minutes and do what they want with it. And yeah, probably a different individual in light of the circumstances would have acted or behaved in a different way that didn't draw more attention to himself. That may not be this guy's demeanor. Do I agree with what he's doing? No. I personally had been in his shoes. I mean, had I been in his shoes, I would have done very little. What's being said about Officer Darren Wilson after the slaying of the gentle giant? I don't think, other than hearing that he resigned his position at the Ferguson Police Department, I don't think I've heard anything written about him since then.
Right, and Zimmerman has been in the news several times, and well, it's not necessarily his fault. I mean, he's been in the news for. I know I've seen at least 3 stories of him getting pulled over for traffic violations.
Not only that, he was also the victim of an attempted murder. So,
and somebody did shoot at him. But I mean, get the hell out of the area, man. It's. Change your surroundings. If you're in that desperate of a situation, it's probably time to leave and go move somewhere else. I disagree with how he did things, and I really kind of think that this auction, well, it's totally his right, and I support it, and I do view the firearm as a collectible at this point. It's kind of a gruesome collectible. I support his right to sell it, but I wish he'd just shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah, well, stupid is as stupid does, Mrs. Blue.
And I'll tell you what, as stupid is, as stupid does, brings us to the Washington Post.
Yeah, if you need a good story on guns, you got to go to the Washington Post. And basically, their headline reads, "Resistance to gun control."
Remember that dogs pee on posts.
Yeah. Well, and it says here, the resistance to gun control totally aided by white resentment. So yeah, there's no kind of inflating the racial strife quotient for the Washington Post. That's interesting.
Yeah, so I find that to be quite interesting in the light of the constant media attention to the Black Lives Matter, the earlier ruckus at the semi-Trump event, the shenanigans that have happened at the Trump events, that have happened at the Bernie Sanders events, that strangely enough seem to never happen at a Hillary Clinton event. And I think it's because of the hot sauce that she keeps in her purse.
Yeah,
Uh,
or the sriracha she gets from Subway.
Yeah, something like that. I'm really just kind of disgusted by this whole thing, and honestly, I maybe I'll get some shit for this comparison, but I'd like to almost compare Black Lives Matter to ISIS, and I'd like to compare Hillary Clinton to Israel, where the true enemy of Black Lives Matter and ISIS, are respectively Hillary Clinton and Israel. But they never seem to attack that the person who, or the item that is truly their target.
That's because you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
I think you're right on the ball with that.
That's
I think
right.
that there's some tomfoolery afoot.
Yeah. Well, hey, I wanted to bring up a story that it's kind of outside of the firearms realm, but it deals with douchebag administrators and people thrown into a cabinet because of just somebody else getting fired who was a douchebag, and that would be the director of the Veterans Affairs, Robert McDonald. And the reason I would like to bring him up is because he has likened the wait times at the VA medical centers across the country to those of the rides at Disneyland. And his comment was basically to say, at Disneyland, they don't advertise their wait times. Why should we? It should be about the experience, right? And to which he was met by a comment, from the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, who said, that would be well and good, except for the fact, Mr. Director, that no one dies in Disneyland's lines, while veterans do die waiting for appointments at your hospitals. So, yeah, talk about a guy who is out of touch with the customer base that it is his solemn duty to provide the best quality care and service for. Yeah, if somebody's going to start a petition,
you shouldn't call him a customer base, but you shouldn't call him a customer.
Well, I mean, the VA has been giving veterans a second chance to die for their country since 1930. So what does that tell you?
I'll tell you, we had Warriors Weekend here, and I did notice that there were less wheelchairs floating around this time, and it was more able-bodied guys. So I think these are more guys with PTSD diagnoses than guys who've had their legs blown off. But I'll tell you,
we are scaling down and responsibly ending the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, we are.
Oh, we are.
Well, I shall mark that on the calendar then.
Yes, because I hope that somebody's going to tell those guys who are dying in Iraq right now, like the grandson of Charles Keating, the disgraced banker, that we are responsibly ending that war with ISIS, except for the more and more people that we're sending there.
That whole thing with I saw a little bit of that, the video of that, and it's not graphic by any means. There's a lot of shooting and a lot of running around. You don't see anybody actually dying or getting shot in the video, but it kind of looks like we shouldn't be there.
Well, I'll tell you what. I personally don't want to be in a place like Iraq unless we have just immediate post-invasion numbers of soldiers there. I'm talking like 500 and 30,000 soldiers on the ground in Iraq, where I think we were up to 580,000 soldiers in the entire army at that point.
I mean, that's the kind of numbers I want on my side. I don't think I'd want
Right,
to go
right.
there right now.
But that also kind of goes with you fight the war to win. You don't necessarily fight the war so you can just sell more missiles and rockets and spend more money, and
Yeah.
it becomes a money sink
Well,
for a while.
I think
Just
that's the distinct difference between the guys that have to go there and have a pound of skin on the line versus the guy who gets to fly in, take a look around, and do a couple of happy snaps and get back and go issue a joint report to Congress. I think there's there's a definite
what about
difference
the
in the
guy?
vested interests that lie therein.
What about the guy who goes out there and says that, I can bring in Filipino workers and have them wire up a shower and plumb a shower here cheaper than you guys can do it, and so they get the contract, and then how many soldiers died in Iraq getting
Yeah, we had quite a
getting
few. One of the more higher profile cases was a staff sergeant who was a special forces soldier. He was actual Green Beret, electrocuted in the shower due to faulty electrical wiring and not being properly grounded in the shower units. So yeah, basically fried taking a shower.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's
No,
not cool.
no,
And,
that's not how I like to get toasty warm.
and that really gets into the if you can't, everybody should take a look at the United States Marine Colonel Smedley Darrington Butler's book, War is a Racket. It's like 36 pages long. It's a very easy read for all of us simpletons and country bumpkins out there.
Yes, Michael, it sounds like you're fading in and out. So
Yeah, War's Racket, and it gives it in prices that may not be relative to today's times and items that may not. You there?
yeah, I'm here. It just
Did I get you?
Your connection is just little slow and
I'm sorry.
that's no sweat. But yeah, that's one of the things that I'm just kind of I think it would be refreshing to get back to the kind of America that you and I grew up in for a period of time. That if we had a tree on our property and we didn't want that tree on our property anymore, we could walk out with a saw of any determinate size and girth and just cut that tree down without prejudice. No fear of retribution from our neighbors, no fear of a government agency coming after you, no fear of a state agency telling you that you've violated some city code or whatnot. And that goes to the purchase of firearms. You're talking about the most basic right of self-defense that a citizen of our country could have. And by the way, the only right that is expressly spelled out in terms of a piece of equipment that as a legal and lawful citizen that you are authorized to own as a God-given right. Nowhere else in the Constitution does it say that you have the right to drive. It does not say.
Nowhere else in the Constitution does it say the word shall not be infringed. But Nick, we get into a real serious and actually a timely discussion with this right now, and I kind of almost wish we had a little bit more time on this one. But we're coming up it's 2016, and it's right near the end of the school year, right?
It's getting there. Judging by the picture of the West Point cadets who are marching to their graduation on their cell phones in formation. This is the future leadership of America's Army, folks. It's the digital age.
What I'm getting at in talking about the future Army, right now we've got 17-year-olds, 17 and a half-year-olds that are getting ready to do that 2 weeks after high school graduation, go to boot camp.
Yeah, Michael, we lost you there for a second.
Spend your lovely summer in Missouri.
Yeah,
all right, these kids
and
have
I did
grown
that,
up
by the way.
entirely.
I did spend a summer in Missouri.
Damn, Nick, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, listen. Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at. You went right out of high school. You went straight to boot camp, and man, boom, you got yourself an education. But you grew up in the way America was supposed to be. The crop of kids going now are kids that are post 9/11 kids. They don't remember anything that has not been total fucking terrorism fear. And remember, the bonus army got shot at by the American army. They got crushed by the American army,
by
and
Douglas
it'll happen
MacArthur.
again.
By Douglas MacArthur.
Right, by Douglas MacArthur. Yeah, so the bonus army got crushed by the American army. It's happened before. It'll happen again.
Yeah. I think the term they used was lawfully dispersed.
Yeah, lawfully dispersed with tanks and bulldozers and shotguns.
It was horses. It was horse cavalry that pushed them out.
No, they had some sort of armored vehicle tank kind of a thing.
Yeah, they were reconnaissance vehicles. They weren't tanks, but they had the bulk of the dispersing of the bonus army's camp in Washington was done by the use of horse cavalry charges.
Well, either way, it was against a bunch of people, and more importantly, it was people that were their brothers.
Yeah,
the people
certainly.
Who were right prior to them. Because I mean, what they were supposed to get the bonus army, and it was like 4 or 5 years after the bonuses were going to come due that they didn't get them. Or something.
Yeah, they were supposed to come due with what they were promised.
It was a relatively short time span that the Army shot at their own brothers. So if they'll shoot at their own brothers, they're going to shoot at you.
Yep. And the good news is we do shoot better than the New York City Police Department.
So at least you'll get one bullet and die. You won't get shot 14 times in the left arm and bleed to death.
Yeah, it'll be quick.
All right, so let's get some 4 rules of gun safety.
Yeah, go ahead and knock that out.
First rule of firearm safety is every firearm is loaded until you visually and physically inspect and make sure that it is not loaded. Rule number 2, keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. Do not cover anything you do not wish to destroy. Rule number 3 is know what's your target. Know what is beyond your target at all times. And rule number 4, the most important rule, no accidents happen, no negligence happens without violating this rule, is keep your booger hook off the bang switch until you are ready to discharge the weapon. That's right, finger outside of the trigger guard. Do not put your little pointy thing on top of the trigger until you are ready to fire.
And in doing so, I have just verified the first rule of beer safety, and I have noticed that since I am visually inspecting the barrel of my beer, that I am damn near empty. So this thing has almost been rendered safe.
You should consider reloading that.
I believe I will.
And who would you like to give a shout out beer-wise to tonight?
It is my good friends from Hofbau, Munich again. This is the lone survivor of that 6-pack from last week, and though he be the lone survivor, he has carried on to his Ranger objective and fulfilled his mission. So, as we say, Prost to Hofbau, Munich.
Okay, so let me ask you, how do you feel about Budweiser America?
First off, I guess I would be considered a beer snob, because I would only use Budweiser to get the sewer smell out of a shower stall or something like that.
I use Budweiser to cook a chicken or something like that.
Yeah, beer can chicken I think is about the best thing that ever happened to Budweiser.
Okay, so what do you think of them? They temporarily changed the name of Budweiser beer to America.
Well, so America is now shitty beer? Great. I mean, why not? It fits, right? It's the decline.
America, leave you with a headache in the morning.
Yeah.
Risk for broken windows and vomit across cars all across the world.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of it. It's all good. It's their summertime promotion. I'd want something that had the name America on it to either taste like bacon or at least taste somewhat gloriously. I don't think Budweiser would do it.
Yeah, no. Well, I think they should have maybe try to fit in with that mom Coca-Cola, apple pie, hot dogs, baseball.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, it's the bumper music. I think we're up against a hard break.
Hey, thanks a lot, everybody. UCY.TV rocks. Nothing else like it. Nick, thank you very much.
Hey, good to hear you. Thanks, Jules. Thanks to everybody in chat.